Welcome back to the Health Longevity Secret Show, and I'm your host, Dr. Robert Lufkin. This episode is about the fascinating story of a father and son's year-long global journey to unearth the best longevity solutions, engaging with industry luminaries and creating a movie to share their remarkable breakthroughs and ready to apply protocols. And today, we're going to learn what secrets they've uncovered. Our guest, Marek Piotrowski, is a former CEO of not only a successful ad agency, but also a CMO in a robotics company. Now he has seamlessly transitioned his expertise from the business world to the realm of longevity. He's dedicating his life to demystifying breakthroughs in the field of longevity, offering practical advice and protocols to empower individuals to embrace longer, healthier, and more active lives. One of the things they've done is put all their findings together in a movie, and we'll take a look at the trailer for the movie right after the break and before we begin the conversation with them. This week's episode is brought to you by L-Nutra, maker of the prolonged fasting mimicking diet. I just started using their 5-day fasting plan, and it's really pretty wild. If you want to try it, use the link in the show notes for 20% off. Please support this podcast by checking out their website and taking a look at their other innovative products. And now, please enjoy this week's episode.
Hi, I am Marek Piotrowski, and I am your longevity advocate.
Let's take care of our precious lives. Let's make good use of the latest breakthroughs in science and technology to expand our lifespan and even turn back our biological clock. My mission is to bridge the gap between scientific research and everyday understanding. I am passionate about longevity, and I want to inspire you that this amazing future isn't just possible, but it's something we can all enjoy in our lifetimes.
I am passionate about longevity, and I've realized that there is so much amazing research happening, but that it's often locked away in academic papers and hidden behind complex jargon. I'd like to change that and start sharing this knowledge that can help you live a longer, healthier, and more fulfilling lives. I'll connect you with top labs, professors, companies working on life-changing innovations. Most of us associate longevity with living up to the age of 100, especially in one of the blue zones in Sardinia, Costa Rica, or Okinawa. However, the concept of longevity is much more than that. It involves living longer, healthier, and happier lives, potentially even for hundreds of years. One of the ways to prolong our lives by 5, 10, or 20 years is through so-called biohacking. And we have already more or less figured it out. Biohacking, first of all, is ensuring that we live a proper lifestyle. Be sure that optimizing your sleep, movement, diet, and getting into mindfulness can work miracles in prolonging your life. Then we can turn to supplements, technologies, medication, and more advanced treatments and protocols to up our game. We all need to start doing it now, whatever age we are. And we need to be persistent to have great effects. And in the time that we'll gain, the scientists will make new, amazing longevity breakthroughs and make sure we're on a good track. The second step towards longevity is called radical life extension. It involves adding 30, 50, or even hundreds of healthy years to our lifespan. The good news is that there are already thousands of amazing scientists, labs, and companies working on it. And there are plenty of promising technologies being perfected and tested right now, including 3D bioprinting, gene editing and programming, stem cells infusions, or nanobiotechnology, just to name a few. The possibilities are endless. And what is incredible, I believe that we shall have access to this radical life extension during our lifetimes. Many great personalities, including Ray Kurzweil, David Sinclair, Peter Diamandis, think the same. Ray Kurzweil is famous not just for his experience in technology, but also for his very accurate predictions, which are based on exponential growth that we observe in science. Ray says that within the next 10 years, we shall start reaching longevity escape velocity. It means that our remaining life expectancy, thanks to technological advancements, will be growing faster than the time that is passing. It means our remaining life will be getting longer. In this Longevity Advocate series, I will bring this new amazing world to you, practical tips and latest breakthroughs. So stay tuned, thanks for watching, and see you next time.
And now, please enjoy this conversation with Marek Piotrowski. Hey, Merrick, welcome to the program.
Hi, Rob. It's great to see you, and I want to learn something from you too. It's not just me talking, okay?
Well, I'm so excited to get right into this. Let me ask a question to begin with. If there's one thing on your travels that you've learned with all these longevity experts, if I had to do one single thing today that I could start doing today to improve my longevity, what would that be that you'd recommend?
All right, I will go a little bit around, okay? if I may. So, of course, like my top thing that I'm interested in is radical life extension, because for me, just prolonging my life by 5-20 years is not enough. Like, I want to do so many things in my life. You know, I want to be a rock star. I want to be an astronaut, a doctor, a fireman, like name it. So for me, I want a lot. And I just love life. But then turning to your thing, we are just now in Japan. And of course, we also came here to visit Okinawa, which is known as a blue zone. So quite a lot of centenarians there. And for me, the most striking thing was just realizing that, you know, it's so easy to get 5, 10, 20 years more just by doing simple stuff. And we all know it, just, you know, nutrition and not overeating, this 80% full, and then, you know, taking care of our mindset, and then sleep, and then just, you know, adjusting lifestyle and living very social with people, and so on and so on. And, you know, it's just so easy, and still most of us don't do it. I meet with my friends, you know, actually some friends of mine came to Japan here, and, you know, most of them are overweight, they don't move a lot, and I just want to shake them and tell, man, just wake up, woman, just wake up, just please at least take care of yourself, take care of your vessel, so that you can live longer and we can be friends longer. And people just choose convenience over health and over longevity. And that needs a lot of education, and hence my movie. Of course, we will not be just talking about the basic longevity on the movie. We'll be talking about all the things in longevity. But if I can just shake up people and just tell them just to the basics at least, I would be happy already.
Well, I really want to get into it now and talk about the movie and talk about kind of what motivated you to do all this. You were a CEO in marketing, as we mentioned before, and then a CMO in robotics company. How did that happen? And then what changed this journey with you and your son? So tell us a little about how you came to be involved in this.
Okay, so I was always in marketing, so creating brands, you know, creating my own agencies. I was running agencies over 60, 80 people and working for top brands of the world like Coca-Cola, Pizza Hut, BK, and all the unhealthy stuff, including alcohols. So it was not a very good mission, as I recall now. And then 8 years ago, I felt like I have to change something, just to do something else in my life. And I spent a lot of time in California, when you are based. And in San Francisco, I went to an amazing conference called Extreme Future Technologies and Forecasting. And they were talking about, technologies that are going to change the world for better within the next 10, 20, 30 years. And for me, that was like eye-opening, like most of people think what's going to be in 5 years. Some people live in the past and think what was 10 years ago. And just talking about the things that are going to happen in 30 years and change the world for better, that was like, wow, I want to be a part of that. And there, of course, they were talking about crazy stuff back then for me, like asteroid mining or solar plants on the orbit. But they were also talking a lot about cryonics and longevity. And that just sparked my attention. And I just came back from there and said, okay, I want to change the world for better. Like, I want to do something meaningful. And at first, I will take care of longevity. So I make sure I'm going to live at least 200 years. And of course, my hunger is growing. And then I can switch to space exploration, when I will be already sure I'm going to live long enough to get to another galaxy and not just to Mars. So, so that was the beginning of my journey with longevity. But then it took me some time, I had to earn money, and I went to robotics, also to help my friend to make the company global. I succeeded. And in March, I just told him, hey, it's time. Like, now I can just be at the company 1 or 2 days a week just to help it grow. But the rest of it, I dedicate to longevity. And now I just want to make longevity industry grow, because when it grows, there is more research, more breakthroughs, and we're going to profit from all that. So, let's do it first, and maybe robotics in 100 years, we'll see.
And tell me how your son Alex became involved with you in this project. It's such a powerful story as a father and son team embarking on this journey.
Yeah, I must confess that so far for me the biggest highlight is us having this quest together, because we are learning so much from each other, and just experiencing, living 24 hours a day. It's not easy. We have our ups and downs, but we're just getting more and more into flow with each other. So this is priceless, and I wish that every parent could have this chance with their kids, because this is just mind-blowing. But anyway, coming back to your question, at first I knew my son is finishing his high school, so I told him, hey, maybe let's do a gap year so that we can travel around the world and you can get to know my friends around the world and get inspired what you want to do next in your life. And he said, yeah, let's do it. His mother wasn't so happy about that, but somehow we convinced her. And then I told him, okay, and during this trip, we're going to do this longevity quest, because this is something that is, very important for my mission and for my purpose in this world. And he said, okay, no problem. Let's do it. And then he went for holidays with his mom before our quest. And he came back, and 3 weeks before we embarked on the trip, I told him, Alec, during our quest, we're going to make a documentary so we can inspire more people about longevity and show them this helicopter view on all the things that are available so they can choose from that. And at first he said, no, Dad, like, I didn't sign up for that. Like, this is your thing, your vision. I can shoot some movies for the socials, but a documentary, like, no way. Like, you are a longevity advocate, not me. And then I started asking him questions. Alex, so do you take care of your body? Yes, I do. Do you take care of your nutrition? Yes, I do. So I say, hey, you are a biohacker. Am I? And I say, yeah, you are a biohacker. So if you start, teaching your friends about it, like, share the message, you're becoming a longevity advocate too. And he said, and that got him thinking and getting there. But only when we arrived at Longevity Summit Dublin at the beginning of our trip, and we were at this amazing conference, and it was not just me interviewing these top scientists from all over the world, but it was also him. Like 20% of the time, I was just giving him a seat and telling these amazing scientists, hey, now my 17-year-old son is going to ask you some questions. And they were, okay, like, let's see what he's got there. And it was so amazing to see him interviewing these beautiful people. And after a couple of interviews, he was like, Dad, I'm starting to feel that. And I'm starting to feel how, longevity is important, not just for you and for people 40 plus or 30 plus. It's also for us. Like we, the young generation, we already have to start thinking about longevity. So every week of our journey, he's learning more and more. He's changing his habits. He's changing his diet. And of course, we were all the time exercising a lot, but he's getting there. And I think that he might be a much bigger longevity advocate at the end than me. So that's the story.
Well, before we get into the details, maybe you could outline just, this was an international tour. You're starting in Dublin, this longevity quest, this creation of the Beyond Time movie that's coming out. What other places did you hit? Like, what were sort of the highlights of the locations?
So, as you said, we started in Ireland, in Dublin, and that was amazing because there were really top scientists from all over the world. So we could get inspired from them. But we also made appointments with them so that we can meet them on our trip and get more into their work. So, for instance, we loved talking to Brian Kennedy, who is, you might say, one of the founding fathers of longevity in the world. And then he invited us to Singapore. So we came to Singapore to visit him at his lab, at his work. And that was completely different environment, so we could talk more. But we also could get to know his professors who were excited about talking with us and sharing their research. And so we also did with other people, like at the conference, we got to know Michael Lim, who is working on stem cells, just boosting the stem cells that we have in our bodies so that they can be more active. And he also asked us, okay, come and visit me in Malaysia and I can do this treatment on you so you can really feel how it's changing your health and how it's impacting your longevity. So that was an amazing start in Ireland, who just gave us some hints on where to go next. But directly after Ireland, we went to Bali. Also because my son was pretty tired after working so hard at the conference and in Ireland. And I wanted him to rest, but also start living this longevity lifestyle. And of course, Bali is an amazing place to be. And there we also could learn from local healers, yoga masters, coaches, as I call them, everyday biohackers, because it's not just scientists that pave the way to longevity, but also these everyday biohackers who teach us this simple stuff that we can introduce into our lives.
Wow, that's such a fascinating experience to go around and all those different places. You mentioned before that your son throughout the journey found himself changing different things in his lifestyle. What did he change as far as his diet or his lifestyle?
Oh, he started eating much less carbs.
Mm-hmm.
Because having a croissant and pain au raisin on the journey at the beginning was quite intense, and he started doing fasting after 6 p.m. So this is a big change. And what I said at the beginning, he just stopped treating his body as a trash bin, just taking care really what he's eating, when he's eating. So that's a good start. And the other things that are part of longevity, like a good sleep, I already taught him, I think, a year ago, because, youngsters usually tend to sleep not so well. They just party a lot and then wake up in the morning and go to school and so on. But I told him, like, 7-8 hours, it's perfect for you. So he's really taking care of that, and so that it's quiet, so that it's dark. So some of the habits he already had in his life.
Yeah, it's so interesting that, I mean, I'm sure you experienced this in your travels, in your longevity travels, that there's so many different approaches to longevity, whether it's, gene therapy or exosomes or supplements or drug interventions and other lifestyle things. But with all the different approaches, there appears to be some common themes that run through them, sort of like you said, the things like eating fewer carbohydrates. Most people agree that's good for longevity, or the fasting or the sleep. There seems to be growing consensus about certain things there, and it's nice for all of us who are trying to adopt these things. At least there's some beginning consensus there. I'm curious, in talking and being able to, it's great that you were able to visit the labs of like Brian Kennedy and all these experts who were actually doing the work and everything, and kind of look under the hood and look in the back of what's going on. I wonder what kinds of things surprised you and changed your thoughts about longevity from the way you might have, approached longevity. You sort of have certain expectations. I'm going to learn this, but what things kind of completely shocked you or completely upended your views of longevity that were unexpected on this tour that you didn't see coming?
Okay, so the most unexpected thing was, I thought that I know quite a lot about longevity, and I even created a longevity map before we started the quest, so that we can start filling in the blanks as we travel. Oh, I can even show you. I don't know if it's visible, but it's like it's a longevity map when there is like longevity basics, and then longevity upgrades, and radical life extension. And actually, I can share this map with anyone who wants that. It's just enough to DM me on Instagram, longevity advocate. Just DM map, and you will get this map straight away. But anyway, I created the map, and I thought that, I know a lot. But when we started traveling and talking to all these amazing people, I just realized I've got so much to learn, so there are so many new therapies coming in, so many interventions, so many breakthroughs, that I just realized, okay, 1 year of traveling is quite a lot for many people. But on the other hand, to get to the bottom of everything, I think, traveling for 10 years would not be enough, especially that every year, there will be more and more breakthroughs. So that was the biggest learning for me, just realizing how much there is. And especially now with AI helping us in this race for longevity, everything will speed up. And actually on our list is also visiting a robotic AI lab in Shanghai, and just talk to the people who are involved in this technology profoundly. So there's just a lot to learn.
What were they doing in the longevity AI robotics lab in Shanghai? It sounds fascinating.
Oh, actually, we didn't visit them yet. It's in silico, so the company.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, Alex
so
has been on our program. Yeah, Alex Stavronski. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got invited to the lab, and we just want to see it and film it and talk to other people, not just Alex, because it's not just these, bright stars that are taking care of longevity so that it grows. It's all these professors that are underneath that you want to talk to, and they have also the real passion and they want to show it all.
Uh-huh. Well, you've had unique access in being able to take a year off and travel. And what would you recommend for regular people in our audience who, of course, will hopefully watch your movie and follow your social media and your website and everything? But what would you recommend to those people who can't take a year off necessarily to experience everything like you've done? What are the shortcuts, or how do people keep up with this things if they can't take a year off to follow everything?
Even what they can do with their longevity, or how to learn about
Yeah,
it?
longevity. Well, both.
Okay, so at first, what I'd like to say, I think that almost everyone can go on a journey like that. When I told my friends I'm going on a 1-year journey with my son, they were saying, "Oh, you're crazy. Like, nobody does things like that." I know I'm a little bit, more rebel than the others. But then I said, I'm renting my apartment and my house, so I don't have the cost of the mortgages. And actually, when you travel, it doesn't have to be more expensive than in your home country. Especially when you are in Asia, it's much cheaper than in Europe or in the US. So actually, you can travel budget. So we don't take, expensive hotels or expensive cars and taxis. We travel by buses, by trains, live in guest houses like the one that I'm now in Japan. So you don't need a lot of money to do this kind of thing. And, all the things you learn, they are just mind-blowing. And that's also good for your longevity. Is, curiosity is just pushing us forward. So this is the first message. Just don't think you can't, just think how to do it. So that's the first thing I'd like to say. And about longevity and, what we can do. So a lot of friends ask me, so just tell me, what do I have to do to live longer and better? And I usually show them the map where you have these 3 fields: longevity basics, longevity upgrades, and then radical life extension. And I just tell them, this is the map, and just do whatever you can from that. And the important thing is just survive healthy another 20 years. And in the meantime, all these, incredible scientists will come up with breakthroughs that will give us another 20 years, and then another 20 years, and so on and so on. So just don't think now how to live another 200 years or 500 years. Just think how to live healthy another 20 years, just step by step. And, as you look at this map, you look at this longevity field from a helicopter view, it's so easy to start, as I said at the beginning. The basics are, first of all, don't die from something stupid. Like, this is the first most important rule. A lot of people laugh about that, me too. But it's not just about not taking risks and not falling under the bus, but it's also about doing regular screening for, any illnesses that might kill us. I was enlightened by the book Outlive of Peter Attia, not about longevity hacks that he was speaking of, because there was not so much about this radical longevity that I'm interested in. But the most profound thing that I learned from the book was that all these big illnesses like diabetes, cancer, heart dysfunction, they all start 20, 30 years before. And the most important thing is just to do regular checkups. And if we discover these illnesses in our bodies 20 years before, we are safe. Like, we can cure them, or most of them. So just not doing screening is, dying from something stupid. So this is the first rule. And then there is this whole part about lifestyle changes. And that is also something that everyone can do, like everyone, taking care of their nutrition and exercising, being active, sleeping well, not drinking alcohol, or smoking cigarettes. These are basics, but these basics add a lot of years to our lives. Actually, I loved statistics that one of the speakers showed at the conference in Portugal. And he just said that being active every day, exercising, has a bigger impact on our lives than not being a smoker and not having a diabetes. And that just shows the magnitude of what we can do for our longevity. And these are just the basics. And I tell my friends, just do that, like do all of that. But then you also have these longevity or biohacking upgrades, as you might call them, which includes at least go to sauna and take a cold plunge. And this is, having this hormesis effect on our bodies, and just our body starts defending itself and just healing and giving us a lot of amazing energy to our lives. And then we can do, I don't know, micro needling on our face or our skin, and it's not so expensive, and that helps our skin. And then we have red light therapy, or we can go to longevity clinics. Okay, this is a bit more expensive at the moment, but it will be democratized. So it's not, you can go to a hyperbaric chamber, and I've seen a lot of research that it's doing so many great stuff on our health and our longevity. Or we can do some more advanced treatments like, activating our stem cells. So all these things are available, and we don't have to do all of them at once. We can just start going step by step and just improve our lifestyle and improve our longevity. So sorry for a long monologue, but this is the main message. Just do whatever you can to take care of your health, and just give the scientists a little bit more time. And amazing advancements are coming, at least genetic therapies that you mentioned not so long ago.
Yeah, I love the incrementalism. Just to emphasize your point there, two aspects of it. One is we don't need to say we're going to live to age 200. We're going to say maybe you just want to live 5 more years. You just want 5 more healthy years, and do it incrementally like that. And then similarly, I love your approach to longevity, incrementalism. Rule number 1, do not die of something stupid, get a colonoscopy, wear seatbelts, don't base jump, some basic things like that. And it all makes sense. And then back to your other point, emphasize like what people can do. The world we live in is, of course, wonderful. There's so many things that are accessible now that weren't before. Many of the conferences like Dublin or the Copenhagen Aging Conference are actually available online through streaming, so that a lot of this information, even cutting edge information from these latest conferences, are available either live in real time or through blogs and publications. I mean, it's amazing the amount of information that's present on the internet now. It's wonderful. Well, you mentioned a whole bunch of things. One thing that our audience frequently asks about, and it sounds like you've had experience with them, was it stem cells or exosomes that you had?
So actually, it was not a stem cell therapy per se. Like, I was not injected with stem cells. Mm-hmm. I was injected with proteins. At first, they opened the cell doors so that nutrients can go in. And then I got injections of proteins that could come to my inactive stem cells and make them active again, so that they can, just grow in numbers inside of my body. So this is not common. And my son was saying, "Oh, Dad, are you sure you want to do it? It's Liz Parrish, talk to this guy, but is he vetted?" And I said, son, I like the guy. It makes sense what he's saying, but he is also going to be on camera. Like we're going to show what he's doing with me, and then we will show the results. So if he was not sure about the positive effects of what he's doing, he would be afraid to do that, because then he will be burned if anything goes wrong. So so I did it, a bit of a rebel for my son, and I'm going to report in a couple of months how it's going. According to Dr. Michael Lim, my skin and my eyes will start to glow, be more radiant, and that I will have increased strength. And, just everything will just start working better. Just that's what stem cells are doing to our bodies. If they are active, they are just repairing our body and everything that's going inside of me. So, let's connect in a couple of months, and then I will tell you, and I will check all the biomarkers that we checked at the beginning, and we'll see how we're doing.
Sounds great. I mean, that's one of the challenges of course, of longevity work. Unlike back pain or even, diabetes, there are sort of markers that you can tell and immediately follow. So I wondered what biomarkers, or what did you have any subjective senses as you tried these different therapies? What have you noticed, or what have you objectively recorded for your longevity markers in this journey?
Oh, we've just started the journey. It's only 2.5 months. So, I noticed more things against my longevity, because, traveling is amazing, but when you travel, it's really hard to keep up with your good habits. Like exercise. Like usually, when me and my son, we are at home, we eat super healthy food, and then we exercise 1 or even 2 hours a day, just being active. And then we have amazing sleep, and so on and so on. When you travel, it's not so easy. So at one point in Singapore, we got so exhausted, and also from AC, which was, of course, omnipresent there, that we got a little bit sick. And I was not sick for the last 5 years. So I was shocked, like, me sick, like longevity advocate, can't be sick. And but then we went to Malaysia, visit Dr. Lim. And first he gave us a vitamin booster, so that, it's just giving this positive boost to our bodies. And then he did this IV with proteins and injections on my face. And 1 day later, I felt great. So, but in general, yeah, traveling, it's not so great for longevity if it's too intense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, you talked to various people, from the leading scientists to the people in the labs. Is there a particular story that really left an impression on you so far in this journey, of anyone you've talked to?
Okay, so I could talk about that for hours, because there are so many inspiring people on the way. I will just mention maybe 2 or 3 persons, and I will try to be brief.
All
So,
right.
first of all, me and my son, we love Liz Parrish, and she also said, like, she's like a mother to other people, so she's like a mother to us. And she is in these genetic therapies, and she's one of the pioneers, and she's testing everything on herself. So I'm a bit a rebel like her. And I told her, whenever she needs a lab rabbit, then I'm here. I want to try everything she tried. And then she said about these 4 therapies that she did, with follistatin gene, then clothotherapy, PGC1 alpha, and a therapy lengthening telomeres. And they all worked. Okay, they didn't change the world, and they didn't rejuvenate her by 20 years, but the follistatin therapy, it stops muscle dystrophy, so it's a huge thing in itself. And then clothotherapy is stopping mind deterioration, which is a huge thing in aging. And it even added up, if I remember well, 15 points to her IQ. So, wow. And then PGC1 alpha is activating the mitochondria, which are the power plants in our cells. So you can feel much younger per se. So for me, that is amazing. And it's like radical life extension at my doorstep. And I know that it will take another 10 years so that they can check it on thousands of people, and then it can be FDA approved. And then people can start using it. But still, for me, it's just showing that radical life extension and hardcore longevity is here. It's not science fiction anymore. So that was Liz Parrish is number one. And then, just talking to Master Ketut Arsana, who is a healer on Bali, and he's healing people with yoga, with physiotherapy, and also with some spiritual healing. And he was talking about the thing which I think is, the most important thing in our lives and also for longevity. And this is our mindset. So if we have the right mindset, then we can cherish the life that we have, and we just want to live longer. And if we want to live longer, we will. And then part of the mindset is having the purpose in life. If you have a purpose, you wake up and there is something you really want to do, and you want to share something with the world, and you can make other people happy, that will make you live longer too. So I think that if someone asks me, like, what is the most important thing for longevity, I would say it's the mindset, because then you have a will to live longer, to change your life for better, to introduce healthy habits like nutrition, exercise, and then it makes you curious of the world, and then you can start doing more and more things for your vessel that you live in.
I love that. That was one of my next questions about, we've talked about biohacking and, nutrition and sleep and everything, but the role of the mind, and you really hit on some important things. And I agree with you. I think mindset is probably the number one longevity tool that we all have, one of the most powerful ones. And certainly people who don't have a longevity mindset or don't have the will to live, even, in healthcare, we've seen that people, they just die, and conversely, having a will to live can surmount many things. I guess question always becomes then, what is the best way to develop that mindset, to develop that sense of purpose? What should people cultivate for a longevity mindset?
Oh, there are so many things, but I would say that I would answer that in a second. I just want to say that one of the biggest obstacles to longevity is first the media that are presenting the world, in black, that the doomsday is coming, we're all going to die soon, and they're not talking about all the positive things that can happen in our lives, about among everything, about these breakthroughs that are helping in our lives and in our health. So we have to change the media and what they are talking about, and that's also why me and my son, we're making this movie, just to inspire people about great things that are there in the world, and not just about longevity, but also about adventure and what you can get from life. And the second obstacle is that there is so much depression among societies and among people, and there are people with so many traumas from their childhood, and they just don't have a will to live. I know a lot of friends of mine, when I was telling them, I want to live at least 500 years, less is too little. And they were saying, oh, Marek, like, for me, 80 is enough, like 80 and I can die. And I was like shocked at the beginning where people started telling me that. But then I understood that they are just not happy with their lives. They just sad, and a lot of them take antidepressants and they think it's okay, and it's not okay. Like, we should start healing ourselves. And for me, a big breakthrough, and that will be the start of answering your question, was 5 years ago, after I got inspired in California about these technologies that are going to change everything for better. I was looking for people interested in longevity and in space exploration. And a friend of mine told me, go to this retreat, A-Fest, and there you will meet some amazing people and maybe you will do some business with them. So I went to A-Fest, organized by Mind Valley, and people were talking there about their emotions. They were talking about their childhood. And I was shocked. And I didn't want to listen to that. I was going out of every lecture and every workshop. And I was thinking, oh, these people are crazy. You just don't speak about things like that. Like, why do they speak about it? And then when they told me, Marek, you have to start loving yourself. And I was, oh, no, like, this is the worst thing I can do. Like, this is so selfish, loving yourself. And but somehow they convinced me, like, man, if you start loving yourself, you will start loving the world around you and the people around you, and the life will just start being better. So somehow they convinced me, and I made a promise to myself, okay, I want to try at least to fall in love with myself the next year. And I just started changing my life bit by bit. I went to do some studies in California on flow with Jamie Wheal and Stephen Kotler, and that was amazing. Like, flow is the state when you feel your best and you are super effective with what you do. So I didn't want to be a coach because these were coach studies. I just wanted to learn from myself. And having a flow is part of having an amazing life and living longer. And then during this course, I realized that I still have deep trauma from my childhood. And they were talking about this therapy that is the best for healing trauma and PTSD, which is MDMA-induced therapy. And at first I was against, because for me, this was drugs. I didn't treat it as medicine back then. And I didn't do drugs. And then I started to read a lot about that, books, and I read a lot of testimonials. And yeah, it convinced me that this is like number one therapy for PTSD. So I came to my friend, who was a psychotherapist, and said, okay, please do it with me. These are the books, these are the testimonials. I want to try to do it. And she agreed. And the journey began. It took me a couple of months. And after 3 months of hard work, suddenly I woke up and I was happy. And I'm happy ever since. Of course, it took me a bit more than that, just 3 months. That 3 months was just the beginning of the journey. It took me a couple of years more, just learning every month something new about myself and healing, my mind, my body, bit by bit. But I made it. And before, for 40 years, I was sad every day of my life, and I didn't know why. I know that I didn't have a beautiful childhood and there was a lot of violence, but still, during this MDMA therapy, you open like the door to your subconsciousness and you just start remembering everything. And that's hard. That's really hard, because you usually start remembering, the worst moments of your life, these traumatic experiences, and you remember everything. But then you can start healing it when you are with this psychotherapist next to you, just bit by bit. And you need to heal it to start loving yourself. So 5 years passed, and it's still funny to say that I love myself, but I think I do. And if you ask my friends or my son, I've changed completely. And maybe that's why I'm so much engaged in longevity, because I have this tremendous will to live and to have more and more amazing days in my life. So just to finish my monologue, one of the things I want to do, I want to write a long article or even record a video, or we can do an interview about that if you'd like, just to share how I did it step by step, all the protocols, and how it's changed my life. So I just like to inspire people.
That's really beautiful, and it underscores what you said about mindset and the will to live and purpose. It comes from loving life and loving yourself at some level. And I know we've talked before on this podcast about the role of psychedelics in longevity, which some people would think they have nothing to do with each other, but you pointed out the importance of that. And I'd love to do an interview, a session with you about that MDMA experience. And certainly, as our listeners may know, the FDA, a very conservative U.S. regulatory agency, has identified MDMA and psilocybin as exceptional drugs, and they're fast tracked for major depression and PTSD, and their results are really dramatic with those. And some people are seeing similar things with ketamine, even, which is slightly different drug, but it still has some of these same effects on our sense of self and our self-love and our understanding of purpose. And there's some people in town here doing work in these various areas under DEA protocols and everything, but it's fascinating. But it's always interesting how longevity circles back with that, and the powerful longevity drug rapamycin, which is probably arguably the single most powerful prescribed drug for longevity by turning down mTOR. We've had a lot of speakers, and I like to speak about it too much sometimes. But the interesting thing about rapamycin is when people combine it with psychedelics, specifically with ketamine, and when ketamine was used to treat major depression, when they gave 6 milligrams of rapamycin 1 hour before the ketamine dose, it improved the response by almost 50% in the antidepressive effects, and it was completely unexpected. They were expecting rapamycin, through its turning down proliferation, to turn down neuroplasticity and actually have a converse effect, but it was completely unexpected. And it's just one more of those exciting, unknown, unexpected things about longevity and psychedelics that we have so much to learn in that. But
now you made me even more excited about visiting you ASAP in California to talk about all that stuff, because personally, I hear from almost all scientists about amazing effects of rapamycin. Even Brian Kennedy, he is a big fan of rapamycin, and actually they are starting clinical trials on that soon. They are waiting for the green light to start that. And what he said, that because usually people say, oh, when you do clinical trials, it's like 10 years or something. And he actually said that now, as you have these, you track these biomarkers and you have these aging clocks, actually, you don't need even a few years to test something. Sometimes you would just need 6 months, and that's enough. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And I want to try rapamycin. I haven't tried it yet, but this is on my list. So maybe when I come to California, then I will start to do that.
Well, great. Yeah, an interesting connection between Brian Kennedy and David Sinclair out of Boston, who's written a lot about sirtuins and resveratrol and partial epigenetic reprogramming. And then also Matt Kaberline up in Washington State, who's a big
like
fan of
three
rapamycin.
brothers.
Yeah, and they were all in Lenny Garanti's lab at MIT doing early longevity research in the beginning of the 21st century. It's funny how that
yeah. It's like when I was talking to Brian, I think 3 weeks ago, and I told him, "Oh, Brian, you are one of the founding fathers," and he said, "Nah, like we were together, as you said, with David and Matt at Lenny's cathedral, as we call it in Poland. And so he was the founding father. So, like it's new generations coming in. Yeah, but the story about three of them is quite fascinating.
Yeah. Well, what are you most looking forward to in the longevity space? What are you like looking down the line? What do you see coming that's that gets you most excited?
So
I mean, we talked about partial epigenetic programming and Liz Parrish's gene therapy and stem cells. Or
in general, I'm looking forward to the first therapy that is going to add 20-30 more healthy years to our lives, whatever that will be. If it will be gene therapy or 3D bioprinting or epigenome reprogramming, cells reprogramming, whatever. It's just just being able to test it, touch it, and live it, that would be amazing. But also when I was talking to these top minds of the industry, including Brian or Aubrey de Grey or Liz, they all realized that it's not going to be one intervention. You need to have a holistic view on that. And it will be, I don't know, genetic therapies together with some protein injections or some small molecules, and then some, basic things like, everyday biohacking and rapamycin. And when you collect them all, then it will have effect on, I don't know, 12 hallmarks of aging and not just one. So, yeah.
That's such a good, important point. It certainly has struck me too, in that with all this information about longevity and all these different approaches, there's one thing that people sort of agree on, is that whatever it is, it's probably not going to be a single approach. In other words, there's probably not just going to be a pill or an injection. In other words, we need to change our lifestyle, change our mindset, and do many different things if we want to maximize the effects. Like even rapamycin, there are effects on lifestyle above and beyond just taking rapamycin that will have beneficial effects on mTOR and the other things. So, let's not forget about our diet and our sleep and our mindset and our mental health as well. Well, maybe that's a good place to wrap up. I know we want to be respectful of your time. We've covered so many interesting areas. It sounds like we need to schedule another episode. But for today, Marek, maybe how can people find more about you on social media and reach you on your website?
Okay, so first of all, look forward to our movie. It's going to be called Beyond Time, a father-son quest for longevity around the world, and I can't wait to watch it. And I hope that people will be just recommending that to everyone to watch it. And I think in 2 or 3 weeks we're going to make the trailer to our movie public, and so that you can all get inspired by that and just wait for the full movie. About social media, we just started with my son, and we don't want to spend too much time on that, but you can follow us on Instagram. Just type in Longevity Advocate and you will find us. And especially I recommend just on Instagram, DM me with MAP, and you will get this longevity map, and you can follow that. And if you have some suggestions on what we can add to our map, I will gladly talk about that and get into more details. I already see that in these longevity upgrades, I didn't put microbiome, which I think is very important. I still don't know enough to talk about that, but I'm super excited to put that in and then to learn more about that. So I will send you the map, and I'm looking forward to any suggestions and more knowledge around that. And one more thing, to people who are listening to our conversation, we still got almost 8 more months of our travels till the mid-August 2024. And we are now in Japan. Soon we go to Vietnam, Thailand, and then through Australia, New Zealand, Pacific Islands to South America, and then North America, and so on. So if you have something important to share about longevity, and we're here, so just DM me on Instagram or on our webpage, longevityadvocate.com, and I will gladly meet and just share it with people.
Well, thanks again, Marek, and thanks to Alex for both of you thanks to you for being on this podcast, and thanks to both of you for the wonderful work you're doing, and we really look forward to the movie.
Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in California, or maybe you decide to come to Australia or Pacific Islands, which I heard that are beautiful. And yeah, I know I can learn so much from you, so I'm looking forward to our conversations.
Can I start? Is it recording?
It's already recording.
Oh, sorry. This is for general information and educational purposes only, and it's not intended to constitute or substitute for medical advice or counseling. The practice of medicine or the provision of healthcare, diagnosis, or treatment, or the creation of a physician-patient or clinical relationship. The use of this information is at their own user's risk. If you find this to be on the value, please hit that like button to subscribe to support the work that we do on this channel. And we take your suggestions and advice very seriously, so please let us know what you'd like to see on this channel. Thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next time.